everybody. Welcome to the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report. I'm your host, Amy Zawi. Today we have joining us from Israel an extraordinary woman with an extraordinary and unique organization. Her name is Mehdi Baruch, and she is the Director of Resource Development and Partnerships at Social Delivery. And we're going to learn a little bit about what that is and how you can be a part of it. Mehdi, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so glad that you could give us your time. I first learned about this organization through our mutual friend, Solomon Saul, and I am just so excited that you can come on and share this really very unique aspect of how to help different communities and groups of people in need, whether inside or outside Israel. So again, welcome to the program. Mehdi, tell us a little bit about yourself, perhaps a little bit about your background, and then explain your organization.
So, Amy, thank you so much for hosting us here and giving us a platform. So I'm from Social Delivery. In Hebrew, it's pronounced as Shinua Chevrati, which comes from the logistical term of Shinua, moving goods for the society. So I actually worked in Israel in the nonprofit world for about 15 years now. And I joined the social delivery team about a year and a half ago. And before that, I was also working as resource development in another nonprofit. So that's the time that I joined social delivery. And I want to talk a little bit about what we do in social delivery because I think it's pretty unique what we do. So social delivery was founded about 8 years ago in 2018. And what we do is that we collect surplus from Israeli businesses that are supposed to go to landfills. And then we store them in our warehouses and we deliver them to vulnerable populations in Israel. So basically, we have partnerships with around 200 businesses in Israel. And we have 3 logistical centers. One is in the north, and the other one is in the center in Beit Shemesh, and the other one is in the south. And then after we receive the supplies from the businesses, Israeli businesses, we have a field and intake department, and they actually identified the need on the ground, and we delivered it to vulnerable populations in routine times and also during emergencies. I want to talk a little bit about what kind of products we have. So we have, I want people to understand the surplus, the circular community mentality that we're working with. So we have 2 main streams right now, and one of them is the retailers. So these are mainly the clothing industry. We collaborate with big brands. Delta, I know that it's an airline in the States, but here it's like a very big clothes company, Golf and H&O. And in this case, we're talking about, it's really important to understand, brand new products in their original packaging, and that's what we distribute. So they're basically these companies, as you know, in the fast fashion industry, they change their collections, and there's a lot of surplus, and we collect them and we distribute them. And the other stream is clearing the offices. So Israel is known as a startup nation. We have a lot of high-tech companies here. And what they do is that they, every 3-4 years, they change their offices. And I mean, for instance, we collaborated with known names like Microsoft, Wix, but a lot of other high-tech companies in Israel. They change their offices, and what is left behind is really high-quality furniture. So our team goes in and clears the office, and this also becomes a part of our inventory, and then we distributed it to populations in need. So this is the model that we have. I think another thing that is really important to understand about social delivery's model is that we don't work with individual beneficiaries. We have a network of local contacts. We work with municipalities. We collaborate with other social organizations, nonprofits, because a couple of principles is really important for us. One is that we want to give our products we want to respond to the real need on the ground. We want to know what is exactly needed. How can we do that? We cannot be an expert of every geographical area. So we collaborate with a nonprofit or a municipality there, whether it's the welfare department or the education department, and we deliver the goods to them, and they are our distribution points, and they pass it to our beneficiaries. So this is the model that we have, and I can say that we save around 2 million products every year. Wow. We collaborate with 300 social organizations, and we reach around 150,000 beneficiaries annually. So this is our turnover. And the other principle is that it's really important for us for the products to be delivered in a respectful manner, in a way that respects the people who receive it. So we also have volunteers. Our Northern Logistical Center is also our volunteer center. Here we have 50 local volunteers, and we have like missions or Taglit programs that are coming and that also volunteer. And what they do is that they sort clothes. So it's also quality checked, because we never send anything that has defects. And they're also nicely folded, and that's the way that the beneficiaries receive our products. So this is also another important thing for us. And I think this is what I have to say for now for social delivery.
That's a beautiful. I love the fact that you said a lot of things that I just am thrilled about.
Yeah.
So let's go from what you just said backwards. I love the fact that when you are delivering to maybe the organization that actually physically does the distribution to the beneficiary, that you are maintaining and very mindful of the dignity. They're not getting sort of leftovers. It doesn't look like, something somebody threw out, even though in a way what you're also providing is an environmental sort of green asset to Israel as well, which is everything that is good and high quality is not being wasted and stuck in a landfill. It's actually being used by people that could enjoy it, but you're presenting it in such a way that it feels like it is something brand new, but it's also delivered in a way that this isn't a handout, but more of this is maybe a gift or however the organization chooses to actually bring it. But you're very mindful of that. You mentioned a huge number of retail, like manufacturers, retailers, or these companies that have a turnover in their infrastructure and they need to get rid of it. And you also mentioned all of the nonprofits that are your partners that have the point of contacts for the beneficiaries. To me, that illustrates two unique things, or actually one singular unique thing about Israeli society, the mindset, which is even the business people, even the corporate world, even the for-profit private industry has a heart for the needs that the communities may have. And with all these nonprofit organizations that are out there working and all the volunteers or staffers of them, it tells me that all of Israelis, most of Israelis, have some sort of capacity in their daily mission, no matter what their work may be, to bring something better to their community, to give back to their community. Can you comment a little bit about, you've lived in Israel for nearly 2 decades, you said. What is it about the Israeli society, which is also, not just Jewish people, even though it's a majority of Jewish people, but what is it about that society that no matter that place in the economic sphere or the GDP circle, that has that heart for what can we do to help?
Yes, absolutely. So I think it has also been changing in the past years. But for instance, let's take the example of corporate responsibility. It's now currently an important part of the business world in Israel, at least the ones that we're working with. So each company, of course, their main purpose is to be in the business world and to be successful, but they also have this concept of helping the society, being responsible for the society. Actually, I just attended the conference also where this was talked about, that it doesn't matter if you're from the business world or if you're from the civil society, you're part of this society. So contributing to this improves everybody's life. I think there is this awareness, whether you're from the business world or you're part of the civil society. And I think this motivation, what social delivery is really succeeds to do, is to combine these two worlds, to kind of be a platform where these two different worlds could be combined in their best ways to help the society. So let's take the example of, for instance, I'm not sure if they are in the States, but we have a very close partnership with Panda Mattresses. Okay, it's a company that does mattresses, and we get their surplus. And for instance, we might supply these mattresses to older people, because I talked in my introduction that we work with vulnerable people. This could be older people, at-risk youth, also people who were impacted by war or new immigrants. So this is the way that we kind of create this ecosystem, this circular economy, which allows the business world to participate in civil society. Because sometimes, I guess, when you're in the business world, maybe you wanna do it, but you don't have the platform. So we are kind of acting as a bridge between these two worlds in Israel to improve the society. At the end of the day, everybody's purpose is to have a better society because everybody is living inside it. And I want to say that in terms of social delivery, it's not only national. Nationally, we have vulnerable populations, and we help them, as I said, in routine and also in emergency situations during the wars. I'm going to talk a little bit about, following this conversation, our emergency response to the recent Iran wars and the Lebanon war, because we work a lot in the north, which was greatly impacted. But for instance, I want to add here that our response is also international. If there is a need, if there is a humanitarian need, this is what is important for us. We respond to everyone. We are everywhere that we know that we can help. It doesn't matter it's Ethiopia civil war or Turkish earthquake or Nepal. If our products can improve the life of someone, we would do it, because we see ourselves as a part of also the international community. Our responsibility is national and also international. So we will help wherever we can. That's one of the messages. And I want to talk a little bit about social delivery's major projects. So one of them is really our emergency response. So during the last Iran war, this focused on two main areas. The first one was helping cities that got direct missile strikes. The populations were evacuated from their homes, and they were sent to hotels. And once they come to the hotels, they don't have anything. They don't even have a suitcase. So in this case, we supply, clothes, toys for children. If it's Purim, it could be Purim gift packages. And the other need that we had was the public shelters. So especially in the north, since it was Iran and also the escalating security situation regarding Lebanon, there were a lot of missile strikes, and there were very, very, very frequent sirens. And these people the people of the north spend extended times in protected areas or in public shelters. And the conditions of the public shelters were not suitable to live in a dignified manner for extended periods. So we sent clothes or furniture, mattresses, bedding, especially for the elderly and people with special needs. Because of the frequent sirens, they don't get a chance to get out a lot. They need to stay there maybe sometimes a few days in a row. So this was our second mission during the Iran war. And another important thing that I want to say about emergencies is that we have an emergency preparedness program, which we started after the first Iran war, because emergency is a long-term project. You have to invest in your relations on the ground to be able to respond effectively. You have to have the right inventory, and another important asset is time. If you cannot respond within 24 hours in an emergency, it's just not efficient. It's not very relevant. For this purpose, we actually started the emergency preparedness program, where we stockpiles of products that we know are needed during emergencies in two containers, in several containers, and also part of our warehouses. Part of the products in our warehouses are kept for emergencies. So, for instance, during the last Iran war, once we knew about the missile strikes in Dimona and Arad, we took everything out from our containers and sent them to the hotels, and it was done, within less than 24 hours. We were there, we were helping people. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a major project for us, and we really want to continue. We are also looking for financial funds for this, to continue this specific project, because it doesn't have to be war. It could be earthquake, it could be any natural disaster, anything that we are facing, we want to be ready for it. And this is and another important project that we have that started last year is the Northern Rehabilitation and Recovery Program. So it's really important to understand, I think, the north of Israel. It was impacted a lot from wars, and the war is for a feeling in the north. The war is still going on. They are still in the shelters, and their sirens. And the war really impacted the north financially, socially. The Northern Rehabilitation Program that we started in 2025 helped people who were evacuated and who were coming back after 2 years, as well as those who were not evacuated. So in this respect, our efforts focused on a couple of main areas. The first one was furnishing the communal areas and educational institutions, because these spaces were closed for 2 years and they reopened. So people started a new life after 2 years, and they're still in this process of rehabilitation and recovery. And economically, it was really hard for people who stayed and who didn't stay. For people who were not evacuated, especially small business owners, they suffered a lot financially during this time, and it still hasn't come back to the numbers that were before the war, before 2023. So North is really impacted by the war, and here we collaborate with more than 20 cities. Our focus is vulnerable populations. As I said, we're also sending clothes and hygiene products and cleaning materials for vulnerable populations, for low-income populations, as well as supporting the reopening of maybe community centers for the elderly. So when they get back, they have a place. The communities were also really impacted. You need this structure to rebuild the community, to kind of have the solidarity and the resilience, and this is really an important part of our rehabilitation and recovery program in the North, which is still going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, the North is still something of great concern. A lot of Americans, they kind of thought the Gaza part settled down, even though there's a lot of work going on in Gaza. The IDF is still working hard, and the Gazan people are still suffering under Hamas. But the focus had shifted for a little while in our American news system to sort of not so much about Israel and Israelis, but more about Iran. Mm-hmm. But it's just coming back into our news cycles right now what the North has been dealing with, which is Hezbollah and the drones and the rockets and the population being either evacuated or still actually their infrastructure, and some people still being killed inside Israeli borders, but in the north. So it's something very dear and near and dear to our hearts, is to be keeping the north of Israel in our prayers, and trying to learn how we can actually help tangibly with what is needed in the north. So your program, the social delivery program, is an absolutely amazing avenue for us to participate in, to help in how we can here on the other side of the world, where you have got that infrastructure in place. And you mentioned a few interesting things. So you have developed in your emergency response and this preparedness, this readiness posture that you're putting yourselves in, you've developed and cultivated the relationships with the nonprofits in the north, everywhere, but let's say, for example, in the north, and then you have your business, the supply chain from the businesses, whether it's retail or other, in order to have this sort of ready to go reservoir of material that can be very, very quickly deployed to people who are in need. So I think that is so amazing that you kept in your mission, in your organization's mindset, how do we move things to those who need it as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. So what I want to ask about that whole mechanism that you have established, and I'm sure it's still growing, right? You're adding new partners, whether on the business side or the distribution side, the partners that work with the populations. Tell us a little bit about how your organization and both the nonprofits and the businesses that you work with, because I want to debunk a few myths here in the West. This isn't just an organization that helps the Jewish populations, is it? Or do you really reach into all the vulnerable communities? You mentioned the international communities. You can comment on those communities as well. But tell us a little bit about the heart of your organization and your partners, in that you're not looking at things like race or religion or nationality in that desire to help.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank you, Amy, for this comment. And this is really, really important for me to emphasize regarding social delivery, Shinua Chevrati. So we help anyone who needs us. Of course, we do our due diligence. We have to know that this person really needs us. The need on the ground is real. If we know that the need on the ground is real, we help everybody. That's, for instance, that's true for our Northern Rehabilitation Program. We helped. It doesn't matter for us if you're a Orthodox Jew or you're secular or you're Druze or you're from the Arab community. Any diverse community, we are ready to help, and we help. We have a lot of nonprofits and boarding schools for at-risk children and youth and orphans that we help with in the Druze community, in the Arab community. For instance, also during the Iranian war, there was the Tamra, which is mainly an Arab village, got a direct missile strike, and within 24 hours we were there supporting families who were evacuated with clothes, mattresses, bedding, whatever they might need in that situation. Our perspective is very diversified. We help all the communities. It's really important for us to have this wide range of platform. Also, the same is true for international work. It doesn't really matter, where it is, who it is. If we're in a situation to help, to send help, we will be really happy to do it, and it's part of our DNA. It's part of the DNA of our organization to do that nationally, internationally, with any community that has a real need. The most important thing is that the need on the ground will be real. So other than that, that's our standard.
I mean, that's beautiful. Certainly, we would expect any organization to just not blindly hand out help because you don't know, who might steal it or take it and not actually get it to the vulnerable population. We've seen that happen in Gaza, where humanitarian efforts have attempted to get a lot of supplies into people that really need it, and it was stolen or somehow hijacked. So I'm really grateful to hear and that your organization demonstrates that proper due diligence, at the same time noting at the end of the day, you're not looking at it from, religion, race, color, etc., but you're only looking at it from the legitimacy point of view, which is so important. And that just keeps everything transparent and serving the most vulnerable who in the end need that help. Mitty, what else can we know about your organization so that when we are in conversations at work with our peers, with our family members, with our neighbors, and some of these sort of libels come up about Israeli society, and sort of just, I don't even want to name the lies and tropes that are out there, but we want to be able to say, our community wants to be able to say no. For example, not that you're the only NGO or nonprofit in Israel, but a huge example of one that is demonstrating the opposite of what we hear. What else would you like us to know about social delivery? And then tell us how we can access information, learn more on our own, and even participate by donating or however else you have a resource requests on your website.
Great. So, Amy, I'm gonna kind of like start from the larger picture and then zoom in. Generally, I would like to say that in Israel there is a very rich civil society and nonprofit world. We collaborate with a lot of organizations, and really, we're on the field. We are boots on the ground. We monitor what's going on the ground, and we know a lot of nonprofits. We also help nonprofits, because one of our missions is really to help nonprofits with their logistics, or if there's a new branch opening and they need furniture, we also supply that for nonprofits so that they can save money in their budgets and they can focus on their core activities. So through this work, we have gotten to know really a lot of great nonprofits in Israel. People, and there is such a wide field. It's women and children, and really, it's such a rich environment in terms of nonprofits in Israel. One thing that I want to say about social delivery, and I think it's really important and didn't come up in our conversation, is the evaluation. We see ourselves as a professional organization. So we have systems in place, information systems, and we know every quarter we go back on it. We know exactly the value of products we distribute to how many people. So we have really in place monitoring systems. And also, I want to say that we also do external evaluation. Last year, we worked with the External Research Center, and they spoke independently with 25 organizations that received help from us. And this way, we were able to objectively, put on paper as a report that how we help people, and it's really important for us to evaluate our work, also for us, but also for people who are donating to us. One thing that I want to say is about social delivery is the impact of the donations. Okay, so for every shekel donated or for every dollar donated, we can distribute $6 worth of equipment to vulnerable populations. And that is like a really efficient, that's because we work very efficiently and we have our own logistical infrastructure, and this economic model that we have is very sustainable. So that's one thing that I want to say. And for people who want to support our work, our activities, we have our website. It's www.shinua.net. And for people who want to send us donations, we also have a page in JGive. they could look up Social Delivery, and that's another platform that we receive donations. And as Social Delivery, it's really important for us to leverage the donations that we have, to use it in an impactful manner. We like using our resources very efficiently. So that's another thing that I want to emphasize about Social Delivery and its work.
Well, that's pretty refreshing, because I know in America, for American nonprofits, that there's a little fatigue because some of the big ones have, CEOs that are paid $500,000 a year, and just crazy inefficiencies. And we do have monitoring websites that show like every dollar you give, only 3 cents gets to the beneficiary at the end. So this is very refreshing for our audience to understand that your efforts are really streamlining this process in such a way that every dollar is just maximized for that end beneficiary. To say that every dollar or shekel donated yields $6 or shekels in benefits is sort of the opposite of the paradigm that we work with in America among our many of our bigger corporate level nonprofits. So this is really important information. Thank you for sharing it, because our audience really wants to feel good and confident about who they support and why, and knowing that their hard-earned dollars are going to help the people that really need it. And it really is our desire, our network at the Jerusalem Connection, our viewers and our listeners, our subscribers, we all just want to do what we can to help. And I really think Social Delivery is a great mechanism for us to participate in that desire on our end. Midi, we are so grateful for your time today and so excited to learn about this program. I will put those links that Midi mentioned for learning more about the program, and how to donate at JNet or at the social media website. I will put those on the screen, but also in the show notes for our listeners, so that you can go back, explore it more, and also share it with your friends and neighbors and church members and Bible study groups. These are important activities for us to be in. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the people of Israel, but also be watchmen on the wall and do what you can to actually help. And Midi and her organization are a prime example of how Israel's heart is just on full display. The people's hearts are on full display with full transparency. I have looked at the website. The annual reports are there. Graphs are there on kinds of communities they deliver to you. It's really amazing, amazing work. Midi, thank you so much for joining us.
Amy.
And we are excited, and we will check back with you in a few months and learn more about how things are going, especially as you mentioned, those emergencies seem to crop up at any given moment, and sometimes they're not what we expect, right? So as we are watching the news and learning about the issues, we will check back in with you to see what's going on.
Thank you so much for giving us this platform, Amy, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and hopefully we'll have many more in the future.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Bye.
If you enjoy these conversations, please visit us at www.thejerusalemconnection.us. Find all our podcasts on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast program. Follow us on social media. Subscribe, like, and share our content to reach the broadest audience.